What up, though, y'all? It's Chris broadcasting from the D post workout. Oh, it's a little bit of a breeze out here. All right, I'm gonna make this quick. Everybody's talking about The Rock, and I get why. It's a drastic change. He's been kind of out of the spotlight for a couple months, I'd say, and he showed up at a movie premiere and he looked way different. People are estimating that he lost anywhere between 40 to 60 pounds of mass. He looks a little bit older too. The drastic drop in weight has, in my opinion, made him look like 7 to 10 years-ish older. But I don't think this is a bad thing, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. The Rock, he's 53 years old, and what he was doing to his body was not healthy. I mean, obviously, The Rock was juicing. I don't know what type of gear the man was using, but he was using something. People were like, oh, I think he was using TRT. It was this one guy, he's a bodybuilder, that was saying that he thinks he was using TRT. Come on now, bro. I think that just because he's a fan of The Rock and maybe didn't want to burn no bridge with him from possibly working with him in the future or something, he was just saying that. But no, you're not going to get, and I say this as somebody who's really in the, health and fitness. I'm no expert, but I'm very much common sense. Nobody in their 50s is going to look the way The Rock did from just taking TRT. Let's just go on and keep it a buck. He denied that he was taking any sort of PEDs, any sort of gear. He continued to deny this. But honestly, him denying it over and over and over seemingly has contributed to his decline in popularity over the last couple years. I mean, when he slipped up with the whole in and out thing, in the span of like 5 years or something like that, he said he had in and out for the first time on 3 different occasions. It's like, bro, you can't have in and out for the first time 3 different times. And he saw I don't want to say backlash, but he saw that people were basically calling him a liar and saying that he's just always trying to push products, calling him Dwayne the Ad Johnson and whatnot. And he tried to scale it back. He tried to come up with I've bought in and out for other people before, but not myself. Nah, that's not what you said during them instances. This was you saying this is your first time having in and out. You weren't saying that you was getting them for other people. He also said in one of the videos he didn't know any of the jargon or the lingo or whatever, which we know that's not true either, man. So that was the kink, I say, in his flawless armor, to where his popularity, because he's lost like millions of followers on IG from what I've seen. He still got a ton, but he did lose some people because they just was like, all that hard work stuff you be pushing, waking up early morning, getting the grind in, hardest worker in the room. It was all just marketing for, your products. You guys know, I have a lot of Project Rock shirts and shorts and whatnot. His Project Rock line of stuff I really like a lot. So I'm not saying the stuff that I'm saying as a hater. If I'm a hater and I'm like buying the stuff, the dude's clothing, the various different products of his, I'm doing the whole hating thing all wrong. So you guys know I'm not saying this from a place of jealousy or envy or hate in any way. We just simply keeping it a buck on the things that he was saying. It just wasn't lining up with what we were seeing. But in my opinion, he doesn't look bad. I actually think he looks good, the size that he is. You saw his shoulders were smaller. You can see his forearms were smaller. Biceps were smaller. And it didn't help. The clothes that he was wearing made it look worse than what it really is. Because he's wearing clothes that were fitted. And dang, this wind, I swear this breeze is coming out of nowhere. The clothes that he was wearing, you could clearly see were fitted for his body before the drastic weight loss. Tailored for that body, and he just wore them anyway. So People are thinking he's like sickly and all that. No, I don't think he's sickly. I think he's just an older gent. Lost a bit of muscle mass because he came off of the PEDs that he's been using, but he still is wearing clothes tailored for the previous body. If he would have got the clothes tailored for how he looks now, it would have been a noticeable difference in weight, but it wouldn't have looked like he was sickly. So you guys just understand that was just kind of a bit of an optical illusion. But he's certainly going to be healthier at this weight. I remember he was talking about he was aiming for longevity, but then he went and got super jacked for Black Adam, which was very alarming. You know, those shirtless scenes in Black Adam where he was all veiny and stuff, man, I ain't gonna hold y'all up. That looked pretty scary. I was like, bro, what are you doing, man? You like 50 doing this to yourself. Like, you know, I understand you wanted to look the part of a superhero or anti-hero. Black Adam really is a villain, but he was trying to play an anti-hero version of him, which it wasn't very well received. People wanted a Black Adam villain. People also didn't like the fact that you had a standalone Black Adam movie and a standalone Shazam movie that came out months apart from each other, and they had nothing to do with each other. That was really weird. You know, he was trying to kind of make Superman his main antagonist or whatever. It was just a really weird direction that they were trying to go in with that, and ultimately I believe that's why it failed. But The Rock at 53, he trying to live, man. I think he truly is taking longevity seriously. He did some interview where what he was describing, some sort of blockage that he had, it sounded like he was on the verge of having a heart attack. Now, surely he's had to have known that was a possibility all along with what he's been doing. But I think this time was different. When he went to the doctor to get checked out, and they told him, like, listen, man, you are like this close to having a heart attack, possibly even fatal, that kind of scared him straight. People were talking about Batista, how small he got, and I think Batista shrank down for the same reasons that The Rock did. Batista hasn't really talked about it openly, but if he were to come forward and kind of open up a bit, he probably shrank down for the same reason. It's no coincidence that you have two men formerly in pro wrestling that were clearly on gear, both in this age range that they're at in their 50s, conveniently chose to shrink down, you know. But he's gonna live longer, right? He was taking years off of his life doing what he was doing, and I think he just finally realized that. You guys remember how big he was in Pain and Gain? I think that's the biggest he had ever been. Black Adam was close. Black Adam, he was more ripped. He was big, but he was ripped. Pain and Gain, he was just gigantic. Like, really, he got so swole for that. Now, that was years ago. He was able to pull that off then, which I'm sure wasn't healthy for him, but he wanted the paycheck. If he were to try to do that now, I don't think he'd survive it. But that's ultimately what it is, you guys. You got a man that is making a health decision. He's choosing to come down, and he'll be fine. You know, he don't want to be the the Hobbs version of himself, even though he's supposed to be in the final Fast movie, right? Playing that character. I don't know. He might have to get jacked, get swole one more time in order to play that character, and then, you know, give himself a rest from that for good. We'll see what happens, man. That's pretty much it. My thoughts on The Rock, man. I was coming out of the gym and thought that I should probably hit on that. The Rock has been the big swole action hero guy for, you know, a long time. I want to say Fast 5, when he was in that's when he really started doing, you know, the whole Jack guy action star roles, and he's continued to do that for the last 15 years. It takes a toll on your body, man, keeping that up. So I wish nothing but the best for The Rock. I like The Rock. I've always liked The Rock. Yeah, he can be a bit of a cornball at times and, you know, be a bit too much of a pitchman, but I think overall he's a good guy. Some people hate him because they're like, he's got a giant ego and all that. I think that's a really silly reason for a man to hate another man is that he's too confident, he's too cocky or whatever. That's some real, in my opinion, low test stuff. All right, I'm gonna leave it there though, you guys. Give me a like if you like what I do. Give me a sub if you like what I do. Give me them comments. I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.